Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. I'm back in the hot seat, and it's good to be back here. First of all, I want to thank everybody for all of your kind messages that I've been receiving since Friday. It's been absolutely unbelievable, and it really helped me as well. You know, I mean, it's a really sad, horrible time, and it really helped me. All of those messages. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. But it's good to be back on the show today, and I've got a special guest with me today. I haven't seen him since football has ended. We've got Turkish in the building. How you doing, Turkish?
Come on, Robbie. Long time. How's it been?
Oh, well, it's a bit, obviously the last few days been very rough for me. Rough, you know what? On the one aspect, rough because, when you lose your dad, it's always rough. But then on the other aspect, we're really celebrating his life, talking with relatives and that, going over memories and things like that. And he lived to 93, which you got to salute that and give thanks for that. And also the fact when you see what's going on at the moment with all this coronavirus, a friend of mine contacted me yesterday and said that, a friend that we both know has got it. And he's like on a ventilator with only a 20% chance of survival. And when you see these sort of things going on and the amount of people, Boris Johnson even, in hospital with, it's crazy at the moment. And everybody, you've got to stay at home. You've got to stay at home. I mean, I don't know about you, Turkish. I've still seen some people, there's my cousin, I was chatting to him the other day, about obviously what happened, and he was saying to me how this girl had called him up on Sunday and said to him, "Do you want to come to a barbecue?" I'm like, is he crazy?
It's crazy. It's crazy because you know what? From my perspective, I do a lot of work for my grandparents, 78 and 80 years of age. So to hear people like recklessly linking up or recklessly doing barbecues, going to Brockwell Park was 3,000 people the other day. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like it pisses me off. I can't lie. It pisses me off because it's not about me. I'm not caring about me per se. It's the people that I could pass it on to. I might have it now. We might have it now. We might have immune systems that can cope with it, and we'll never know. But my grandparents wouldn't cope with it. So these people need to understand it's time to listen, because 2-3 weeks ago I was nonchalant about it too. Don't get it twisted, Rob. I was thinking, whoa, is this as serious as they're making out? But over the weeks, the number of deaths accumulating daily, it shows you how serious it is.
It's so serious. And, as you said, Boris Johnson, Pep Guardiola, his mum passed away. That's so sad for Pep Guardiola. I saw Anthony Yard, the boxer. Not only did he lose his dad, he then lost either his grandmother or somebody died as well. It's absolutely crazy. And these are people that, like Anthony Yard, such a nice guy, man. I feel gutted for him, So everybody's got to get the message that, with this thing, we've got to stay up. What are you going out for anyway? What's there even out there? Nothing out there.
There's nothing but Tesco's and Asda. That's all that's out there.
We're going to hang out at Tesco's, No, seriously, man. Seriously, people have really got to, stay at home. And then, you know what? And as we're talking about sad things, and we're going to get onto the football in a minute, but we've got to touch on Black the Ripper. That was sad as well. One of the news, I know, we both knew him. You knew him a lot better than me. I've met him quite a few times because he's a big Arsenal fan. He'd always come to the games. A lot of times when we're doing the filming, he'd always be on that little corner, stood around there. And I always struck me as a nice, quiet, humble guy.
Yeah, he was down to earth, man. Listen, the fame he got over the years and what he done for himself over the years, it never changed him as a person. Like I knew him from back in the day when he first started clashing at XFM. I'd be there around other friends, so we had mutual friends, and to see what he created and what he grew from and to, it was an inspiration to many. And like you said, he was so humble and down to earth. A lot of people could have learned from him and should learn from him. And I hope a lot of people do some research, because you've got a lot of subscribers, Rob, that probably are not familiar with his music. So I hope a lot of people do follow in this show, go search him up and see what he's all about, because he's been doing it for 15 years now.
Yeah, really, really sad. Rest in peace. Black the Ripper. They're still investigating what happened because, of course, he was abroad in Montserrat. And they're going to do an autopsy to try and find out what happened exactly. But that's really, really sad. But listen, let's get back to the football. We're back here with AFTV News Daily. It's good to be back. I've got to tell you, we're broadcasting on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we are on Twitch, all 4 platforms simultaneously. Yeah. And we got Turkish with us today. Turkish, I know that you've been following what's been going on with Arsenal, and it's all been about Aubameyang. Since the lockdown, that seems to be the news every single day coming out. Aubameyang, is he going to stay? Aubameyang linked to Barcelona, to Manchester United, to Real Madrid, to practically any team out there that's got a little bit of money, right? Yeah. He's linked to. He hasn't signed a new deal yet. And then we're hearing today that Arsenal interested in Edouard, who plays for Celtic. Good player. Good player. Who plays for Celtic. Could he, if Aubameyang was to leave, Edouard, could he replace Aubameyang?
It's a tough one, bro, because just saying that doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? It just doesn't sound. It doesn't sound like you can say yes to that question at all. He might come and like if it was to come, he might surprise us all. But just saying Aubameyang out and Edouard from Celtic in, it doesn't fill you with much hope. So, and you know me, I'm a bit more of a realist and optimist. So it's hard to see. It's hard to see that happen and be all right with it. I can't lie. It's hard.
I mean, Edouard, right? You look on it. I've seen him play a few times for Celtic. He looks a good player. He leads the line well. Scored a lot of goals up there in Scotland, but also we always have to look on it and say, and it's no disrespect to Scottish football, and I mean that sincerely, but it's not the same, you know, when you're playing in Scotland. When you're then in the Premier League and you're up against, you know what I mean, the top defenses and the top teams, you know, so whether he'd be able to make that transition, if he did come from Celtic and playing in Scotland to the Premier League again, and they're talking about he cost about 40 million as well, so he wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah, I see that.
22, price. He's 22, so he's young. But
listen, we can't be losing star names and replacing them with that level of player right now at Arsenal Football Club. We need to do our utmost to keep Aubameyang. I believe that's tied to Mesut Ozil. Maybe we'll get into him a bit, but at times like this, especially with the way life is, as an Arsenal fan, to be hearing Aubameyang out, Aubameyang here, Aubameyang there, it's just not great at all. And if it was to happen, which seems likely, I hope that we'd go for a bigger name than Edouard. I can't lie to you. I hope we'd go for someone that...
The thing is, with this whole lockdown thing, and I've been saying this ever since the day the lockdown started, right? And ever since the day we stopped playing football, I've been saying this, that I just don't think that come the summer or whenever it is that we start doing transfers, that Arsenal or any other team for that matter are going to have a lot of money available to make big signings.
Yeah, and Rob, you know what? I think this is a good chance to debate it. We've had this debate on Supporters Club before, and I'm going to bring it up again. It's all tied to the wages. And at the end of the day, I think Arsenal are looking at it in a way where we've still got Mesut Ozil for another year on 350k, one of the highest paid in the Prem. Can we afford to now give a similar wage to Aubameyang? We can't, because we're not all those teams that you mentioned earlier that have more money than us and are performing better than us. So our hands are currently tied behind our back right now, and I believe that is because of the Mesut Ozil contract situation. I believe if we were to have the chance to get rid of Ozil and give Aubameyang 350k for the next 2-3 years, we would take it. But as Ozil keeps on saying with his PR, he's happy in North London, he's happy at Arsenal, so we're bound to see him next year.
Well, who's going to want to leave right now? Any football club, not just Arsenal. If you're on a big contract, you're not going to want to go nowhere, innit? Because you know with all what's going on around. You know, what I mean, I know footballers get millions and millions, but they're going to want to stay secure with their contracts as well. So
yeah, this is going to impact football a lot.
Another club, especially now, Ozil would not be able to go to another club and find anywhere near those sort of wages.
No, but I actually agree with you, Rob. And at the end of the day, I think this is going to impact football far greater than people think. I think the transfer fees are going to go down a hell of a lot. And I think wages have to go down a hell of a lot. Some clubs and leagues are not going to make it out of this situation. Let alone the big boys will make it out. The bigger leagues will make it out, but they're still going to have to adjust to what has just happened. And that means less wages for the players. And like you said, if Ozil's on 350k for another year, who is going to turn that down and move on? No one.
Couldn't they just ride out that money for a year and then say to Aubameyang, right, we're going to give you, even if they gave him like a, I don't know, if they gave him 3 years, they said, right, Ozil will be off the books in a year's time. So take a reduced amount, and then we bump it up or something. I mean, for me, they've got to try and hold on to this guy. I mean, I just don't, you know, we're looking at like somebody like a Edouard, right, who's an unproven player who'd be, you know, they'd want about 40 million for him, would come into the Premier League. We do not know how he will perform. And we've got a proven guy that we know as long as he's fit, he's going to score goals. And that's what you want out of your striker. He's the captain of the club. I just don't understand. I just think we should be bending over backwards. I know times are rough at the moment, but he should be priority number one to keep at the club.
100%, Rob. But it's just the way our board think. It doesn't seem to be like us fans think. I mean, what you just said makes a hell of a lot of sense. Maybe offer reduced terms now and say in the next year when Ozil does leave, it bump it up a bit for the next couple of years. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. But it won't happen. I don't think our business people are that savvy. I don't think they know how to bend the rules like other teams have done over the years. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our player departures over the last decade. A lot of the big names that have left us heartbroken. Is Aubameyang just going to be another name on that long list right now? That's all it seems, until that buck changes. And if it does change with Aubameyang, that's a big sign of intent from Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So actually, on that Ozil thing, yeah, I was watching this program yesterday on Netflix. I've actually binged it right till the end, which made me knackered, right? Called Caliphate. It's really good, actually. It's a Swedish program, but there's this woman in there. She looks just like Ozil. I'm telling you, you've got to watch it, man. Name in it's called Pervin or something like that, right? Honestly, watch that. Tell me Caliphate. Tell me she doesn't look just like Mesut Ozil. It's like a female version of Mesut Ozil. I want people to go watch that and tell me, right? I was like, I couldn't believe it. But
I'll watch it because I've run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. I just watched Money Heist, and for some reason I know about a guy called Joe Exotic that owns tigers in America now.
Oh, have you not watched that? Tiger King.
I've watched it. That show is mad. So yeah, I'll move on to Caliphate next.
That's brilliant. Back on the football though, right? This thing with Liverpool. Now, obviously, as I haven't been on here for a couple of days, but I've been watching and seeing what's been going on. And I have to say, I could not believe when Liverpool came out and said that they're going to use the government's furlough program and they're going to, you know, use that to put non-playing staff on that so that the government pay 80% of their wages. I was like, Liverpool. I mean, listen, when I saw Newcastle do it, I was like, listen, it's Mike Ashley. We know what he's like. When I saw Tottenham do it, I was like, Daniel Levy, another, as they say in Jamaica, another Ginal, right?
Yeah.
When I saw Liverpool, I was like, what's the matter? And they've had such a backlash. And you know what as well? Like Liverpool, as right throughout this whole process, Liverpool have been getting so much love from a lot of fans, because even fans that don't like Liverpool have been coming out and saying, nah, listen, man, these guys, they deserve the title. They played so well. But when that news came out that their owners were looking to use the furlough thing that the government, honestly, I mean, now Liverpool have announced today now that they've completely backtracked on it. I'm going to try and see if I think I've got the statement here. Let me just see if I can read it quickly.
Yeah.
This was part of their statement. They said, we consulted with a range of key stakeholders as part of the process aimed at achieving the best possible outcome for all concerned. A range of possible scenarios were considered, included but not restricted to applying for the coronavirus job retention scheme, which pays 80% of the salary and guaranteeing the 20% payment. Applying for the coronavirus job retention scheme with a guarantee to reimburse monies received at a later date. And thirdly, finding an alternative means to cover our furlough costs. It says a direct result of this extensive consultation and our own internal deliberations at various levels throughout the club that we've opted to find alternative means despite our eligibility to apply for the coronavirus job retention scheme. We believe we came to the wrong conclusion last week to announce that we intended to apply for the coronavirus retention scheme and furlough staff due to the suspension of the Premier League calendar, and are truly sorry for that. So they've made a full U-turn and apologized for it. I'm glad that they've done that. That's fine. But obviously the reason why they've done that is because not only have they come under pressure from the footballing world, even their own fans.
Yeah. Credit to them as well.
You know, we all know Liverpool's a city that's, you know, they really stick together up there and their fans and that. But they were horrified by it. What is the matter with some of these owners? What planet are they living on right now? Do they not see what is going on right around the world? How and they've made so much money over the years, they cannot afford to pay their staff.
Yeah, no one seems to question the billionaires across the world, Rob. No one seems to do that. I mean, look, I agree players should be taking pay cuts, but the amount of pressure they've been under in the last week, the football players are not the be-all and end-all. There's a lot of billionaires in England alone, let alone the UK, let alone Europe, let alone the world. Where's the pressure on these people? That's what seems to, and credit to them, they've turned around and changed their mind, and they've done that before. I remember when their fans protested about £70 tickets. Yeah, they turned around and they changed their minds. And at the end of the day, they made the wrong decision, but it's good to see. Yeah, it's pressure. Exactly. And maybe us Arsenal fans, on a side note, can learn of this for our own.
Mind you, let's give Kroenke credit at the moment, right?
Trust me.
He has not applied, you know, Arsenal, and I was so glad because I just kept thinking to myself, please, I hope we don't go and do that and, you know, just dishonor the club, really. And I'm so glad that we haven't, you know, tried to take advantage of that scheme, because I just think that rich football clubs, I can understand a club, you know, that's suffering. Like, I mean, every club's suffering right now, but I'm on about
Barnet, for example.
You're in the Championship or you're lower down, right? They should be able to apply for it. I think, you know, they haven't got the rich, but a club like Liverpool, they just done a new deal the other day with Nike, where they got out of their old deal with New Balance, where they're earning millions upon millions.
Come on, Rob. Champions League final.
Champions League final.
Come on, like,
2
in a row.
Honestly, man, when I saw that, I was like, it is beyond disgraceful. It really was.
It always takes that one person or that one company to test the waters and do something like that until the government come back in and place a threshold on maybe how much profit a company has had to have made to apply for the scheme. But I'm glad they have turned around. Maybe Tottenham will have to do the same. But they've stood by their decision a lot longer than Liverpool did, and it doesn't seem like
it doesn't look
Levy's moving.
It doesn't look like
credit to United as well. I need to say that on this matter, because they paid their staff as if they were still playing their games, and they said if the games do get rearranged and they need those same staff, they will get paid again, and they did that very early on. So it shows that teams with that, you know, that history, that moral, the morals to them, Arsenal, United, they're doing it the way we expect. Man City even came out. Maybe that was a bit of a brand war with Liverpool. 2 days after Liverpool said they're furloughing stuff, City said we're not doing such thing. And it makes them look better in the public eye. But at the same time, you need to think about the wider community now. You need to think about the people at the lower end of the food chain, because this is who it's going to affect the most. All these rich people get tested the moment they have a bit of sniffles. I mean, look at people like Idris Elba, for example. I rate Idris Elba and whatnot, but as soon as he had some symptom of it, he got tested. But then your nan who's locked inside, or my nan who's locked inside, if she gets a bit of sniffle, she's told to stay at home and isolate. There's an imbalance there, and I believe that needs to be addressed in life first and foremost, let alone football.
I saw you showing a lot of support there for the players. And you're saying that you think the players have been put under undue pressure. There's a lot of people have been saying that because the players have been under a lot of pressure to take a 30% pay cut. They're, again, another own goal, I think, by Gordon Taylor, who's in charge of the PFA. You know, he again took too long, I think, to react to this and has made himself look really bad. And for me, this guy, I think Gordon Taylor's done great things before in the past for players, but he's been in that post for about 20 years. He's like a dictator. Surely somebody else can come in and take over from him now. And also, there's a lot of pressure on him. People are saying, well, you're on £20 million. Sorry, correction. You're on £2 million a year. Can't you take a pay cut? And he turned around and said, no. I mean, this is a time, I think, where everybody's got to make sacrifices.
And if you can make a bigger sacrifice, then do that right now. Because at the end of the day, life has a way of rewarding those that, you know, do make sacrifices. I believe in karma a lot, whether in a positive or negative way. And I believe that, yeah, you are right. People need to start giving as much as they are receiving right now. So,
but the players that are getting, you know, those Premier League players, right?
Yeah. The way it was done, Rob,
do you think they should take a 30% pay cut?
I think they should take a pay cut, whether it's 30%, 40%, or 20%. That's not for me to say. But the way it was projected, the way it was announced, put pressure on all these players and the players' organization. Instead of working on it behind the scenes and coming to a mutual understanding and releasing that, it's like one party said, I want you to take the 30% pay cut. Now it's been, 5-6 days in now, and there's been no response to that whatsoever. It makes the players look bad. But in essence, this should have been done behind closed doors. And what about the owners of these clubs? The players can turn around and say that. I'm a big advocate of wages. I'm a big advocate of Mesut Ozil not being worth 350k. But this is a whole separate issue. This is an issue about people's livelihoods. And yes, they should take a pay cut because they're on a hell of a lot more wages than the average Joe in the UK and Europe, wherever. But to all of a sudden put pressure, I mean, on these 5 o'clock live debates for the health secretary to be singling out Premiership footballers to take pay cut. That's not what we want to see on the 5 p.m. news. We want to see stuff that really matter, not you trying to win a point scoring contest against maybe a Premier League footballer or against a business or against this and that, which it seems to be right now.
Okay, I'd like to know if everybody agrees with Turkish out there. Should have the players been picked upon, or should they be taking a pay cut? Lots of messages like this coming in from Nippon, obviously a Chelsea fan. He says, condolences to you, Robbie. I'm deeply saddened to hear about the loss. Your loss, may his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much for that. There's been so many messages like that, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you very much. This message here from Josh XXXA says, man like Don Robbie and big up Turkish. And a lot of people bigging you up. Darren Christian there off of Facebook, he says, big up Robbie and Turkish as well. But I want to know, people, are you agreeing with Turkish? So the players being picked upon? That's what I want to know.
They should take a pay cut, but it shouldn't be in the news as much as it is right now. There's bigger fish to fry than Premier League players taking a pay cut.
Jibs there saying Turkish got a point. So that's somebody there disagreeing with you. I knew this was coming. I was waiting for that. Marcus Lamb saying, you taking a pay cut, Robbie. I can tell you I've taken a serious pay cut. Because basically, you know what I mean, our business relies a lot on football games as well. So we've taken a massive hit, and I have taken a pay cut. I can tell you that right from day one. So yes, I have taken a pay cut.
Rob, I can tell you that last 10 seconds might just be used on Twitter by one of these guys. You know they're ready to use something like that.
I knew that was coming, man. I knew that was coming. Oh, but let's get some others here. Oh my God, man! I knew. You know what? I was just like, I'm talking about pay cut. I know someone's gonna ask me, Robbie, have you taken a pay cut, right? But here's this one here. It's from Hugh G Reaction. He says Aubameyang is irreplaceable. I'm a blood clot young, right?
Who's that from? Who's that from?
I'm not going to read it again because they're trying to catch me up. And I've been getting that.
I've seen it, bro.
Been getting that for a long time as well. What about this one, right? I heard about this one the other day when I was, just at home.
Don't put this up. Don't piss me off anymore at this time.
You know what? I think somebody out there is definitely trying to just get Arsenal fans wound up.
It's an easy thing to do.
There's no way Arsenal would go for Lingard. That's ridiculous. Mike Dennis says players are scapegoated. Do you know what the thing is? They are being. I agree with you, Curtis. I'm sorry, Turkish. I agree with you, Turkish. Even I'm getting confused now. I agree with you, Turkish, when you're saying that they're getting scapegoated. Yeah. But I don't think it's the PFA who look after the players. They have not handled this thing good. They should have come out. They should have come out a little while ago and said, "Listen, we're talking to the players to look to see what we can do to help out." Yeah. That's all you got to say. Yeah. And then because there's lots of players out there that I'm sure, if they're not already helping out anyway, will be more than willing to help out.
Sometimes it comes down to the individuals on the team as well. You know, like if you look at Barcelona and Lionel Messi, he came out early on and he kind of said, listen, the non-playing staff are going to be paid 100%. But he's just a player. And yes, he's a superstar and he's Barcelona through and through, but he's a player leading that. And he said, we're going to take the pay cut. They're going to be paid 100%. And it does fall on leadership a bit at the clubs. I think, yes, PFA have handled it in the wrong way, but the players have to kind of step forward, and some of the leading names in the league step forward now and do something. And my thing as well about F1, don't F1 get a lot more money than Premier League footballers? Some of them, there's no emphasis. There's no emphasis on them right now. This is my point about footballers. Yes, but everyone knows me and wages and finances, and I bang on about it. But this is not the time to scapegoat players because of it. There's bigger fish to fry in this country than footballers. I'll be honest with you. There's bigger fish to fry than footballers.
Yeah, definitely bigger issues here. Mike ND90 says, if Aubameyang takes a pay cut, that means more money in Kroenke's pocket. Management need to guarantee that the pay cut player goes straight to the workers. And that's another point that I think a lot of the footballers themselves have been saying that. We take the pay cut, but where's that money going? We want guarantees that pay cut is going, like imagine you take a pay cut at Newcastle. That might not be going to the NHS. That could be going into Mike Ashley's pocket. We know what these, so I can understand with play. Yeah. And, you can see with the players kind of on this one as well. Diresh says, hi, Robbie, if they cut 30% off the football, government lose out on tax. Better they get paid and then give after they've been paid. True. And that was a point that Kevin Campbell was making the other day when he came on the show. He was saying that, football plays a lot of tax in this country. So why shouldn't they be able to take advantage in these tough times? But the amount of money that these football clubs are making, I'm sorry, man, they got to give a bit more, I think. Takina says, if Aubameyang stays, we build a team around him. If not, replace him with Nketiah and Martinelli, because this guy's matured. Please take note, Robbie. Could you replace Aubameyang with just sticking with Martinelli and Eddie Nketiah?
Depends how you fix the other areas in the side. I mean, centre mid is a massive position for us right now. So if we can do anything in the middle and use that money we get from Aubameyang, if we sell him, then potentially, because Martinelli, not Nketiah, but Martinelli, and then moving Saka into the left wing is potentially an option.
Let's get this one here. Theo, he says, Robbie, they should take a pay cut, but for people always trying to push the notion that footballers are paid too much are wrong, as their expenses are a lot different from the normal guys' expenses. That's true. Their expenses are a lot different to the normal guys' expenses, but they do earn a lot of money.
Their expenses are different because they get in that money in the first place. If they wasn't getting that money in the first place, their expenses wouldn't be as different as it is. Yes, it would be different because they're still going to be in a hell of a lot more money than the average Joe. But at the same time, when you're earning 350k a week, for example, you can have a lot more expenses than someone earning £500 a week.
Sheets of Metal here. He says, greetings from Maryland, USA. Oh, it hasn't popped up this one, but he says, greetings from Maryland, USA. Upamecano, who would you sell to get him?
Who would I sell to get him?
What do we call you, Curtis? Turkish.
Who would I sell to get him?
Who would you sell to get Upamecano? If you had to sell somebody, who would you sell?
That's a mad one.
Remember, it'd be a lot of money.
Who can you sell? That's the thing. We've only got one player worth anything on our side right now. Well, one star name, and that's Aubameyang.
You got Lacazette as well.
I'd sell Lacazette to get Upamecano, yeah. And Lacazette was my favorite player last season. So,
all right. Oh, I like this comment here that's come from a vendor. He says, giving is a voluntary practice. Dictate it, then the meaning is lost. And that is true. That is true, isn't it? That, you know, giving is, you're supposed to, like they say, you've got to just give it from your heart. You shouldn't be forcing people to give it. But I do want to see the players just step up a bit more in this, you know what I mean? And what about the football clubs? As you said, you know what I mean? Instead of the football clubs like Liverpool saying, right, we're going to give a donation, they're trying to take money out of, the system. And that's where I just thought that was absolutely terrible by Liverpool. I couldn't believe that Liverpool.
But that scheme wasn't meant for clubs like that. That scheme wasn't meant for businesses making hell of a lot of profit year on year. Like you said, it's meant for smaller businesses. It's meant for businesses that are getting by and businesses that need that equity to survive right now. Not a Liverpool and a Tottenham who are the Champions League finalists from last season.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Very embarrassing. I'm going to do a couple more before we end the show. Take Me Back says, we don't need to get money from sales. We have money as a club, although a lot of players should be sold. And I know Turkish. I know you always on that one. I mean, do you agree with that guy?
Yeah, listen, a lot of players, we need a big turnaround at Arsenal Football Club, a big turnaround. When I go through the team, I think 9 players I'd keep out of the 25. 9 out of the 25?
Yeah. Well, that won't be happening now, not with what's going on.
Yeah,
you're ruthless. Raul says, greetings from Mumbai. By Dakanan from Getafe. He's a good centre-back as well. Seems to me we've looked at him, or we've been linked with him a lot of times, but it hasn't happened, and he's starting to get a little bit older now. What about this one? Free transfers, which, of course, we always enjoy. Jason saying Willian or Fraser.
Fraser all day long. I'm not taking another has-been from another Premier League rival. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of taking has-beens from these people. Yeah, Willian's a has-been at Chelsea. I'm tired of it. Fraser's a guy that's he wants to test himself at a higher level than Bournemouth. I don't think he's at the level we require to make Champions League football, but for depth, someone coming off the bench, someone acclimatized to the league, hell yeah, I'll take him for free.
All right. Mike says, if you had to sell Martinelli or Aubameyang?
Aubameyang. What about you, Rob?
You'd have to say Aubameyang, innit? Just off of the pure potential of Martinelli. He's so young. He's looked so good. You'd have to be looking at it and saying, right, long-term investment-wise, I'd have to. That's a hard one. That is. But I think you'd have to say Aubameyang because Martinelli's looking like he's going to be the future. So
and he looks like he loves it here as well.
Yeah,
he really loves it. He's in awe with the club and he's in awe with London.
Given an enormous opportunity, he came in. Nobody knew who he was. He's come here. He set the place on fire last season, and you can see he's hungry for more. And I think if you were going to sell one, I think for me, reluctantly, it would have to be Aubameyang because he's such a brilliant player. But this guy, I think, is he's going to be the future.
Business over heart here.
Let me see if I'm going to get one more question here. I'm just trying to find one. Well, I'm going to get one more question here because the show's been crazy tonight. So many people sending in messages. Really, really appreciate it. Let's get one more. Let's do this one by Ash. Would you believe bigger clubs who aren't as impacted as other clubs will now fish for talent, knowing that clubs will have to sell their best footballers to cover their financial losses? And he says, YNWA, you'll never walk alone. He's a Liverpool fan. But that's a good point. The bigger clubs who won't be maybe not as impacted as some of the other clubs, there's going to be a lot of bargains out there, aren't there? Because there's going to be clubs that are going to have to sell.
100%,
so
100%.
if you're looking for a bargain as a football club, the bargains are going to be about after this, aren't they?
Yeah. And the way the question posed, it kind of makes you feel bad for saying you would want to benefit off of that. But in reality, that's how business is. Once we're at the back end of this coronavirus and we kick back into football, a lot of people are not going to care about why that team have to sell that player for cheap. They're going to be like, go and get that player for cheap. And that's part and parcel of football. And you know what I just thought about, Robbie? This would be an interesting time for them to consider, FIFA to consider a salary cap across European football like Americans do with NBA and whatnot, because of the impact it's going to have on all these clubs and how they're going to be affected. Maybe a salary cap and making sure that the fees and the wages in football don't get as wild as they have been over the years might be something that can be brought in. Finally, I think something that Wenger was a big advocate of once upon a time.
And we all know why. We didn't want to pay that. Turkish has been absolutely brilliant having you on today. Thank you very much for coming on. We got to get you back on.
Anytime. Supporters Club. I'm shooting that real soon, you know.
Yeah. I know you're doing a Supporters Club as well. So everybody look out for that. Also, everybody look out. We're starting a new show tomorrow as well. We're going to be doing 2 daily shows a day, one in the morning and then one in the evening where I'll have guests like Turkish and other guys on, right? So make sure you check it out. We've also got a new quiz show starting tomorrow every day whilst we're under this lockdown. We got this.
I had to redeem myself, about this quiz. Bring me in, you know how much time I got ripped for that.
How many did you get right again?
Well, listen, I bun too much to remember. I bun too much.
Well, actually, this quiz is the quiz that we got coming on tomorrow is a bit of fun for everybody, but it's good. It's good. You like it, Turkish, all right? So it's something that you can test yourself with every day. We're gonna have this quiz every day. One day we'll have the questions, then the next day you get the answers, and another set of questions. You're gonna enjoy that quiz, right? And it's not as straightforward. It's not too difficult, but there's a few tough questions in there. And please, when you're doing that quiz tomorrow, don't cheat, right? Don't cheat. Enjoy it. All right. So two new shows tomorrow, morning show and also the quiz. And then we'll be back tomorrow evening with AFTV News Daily. Turkish, thank you very much once again for coming on. Really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for your kind messages. I really appreciate it. It's good to be back on today and to have my mind on something else. So that's been absolutely brilliant for me. And we'll be back, as I said, in the morning with the new morning show. So please make sure you tune into that. And throughout the day and the quiz, you've got to check out the quiz. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.